What is going on, YouTubeverse? John Stanek from Johnny Radio here, bringing you another Top 5 on this glorious Top 5 Friday. And I'm so excited to be talking to you about my personal favorite Top 5 albums of 1996. Such a cool year in music history, so let's get right to it at number 5. Their Satanic Majesty's Second Request by the Brian Jonestown Massacre. Man, that's a mouthful. And yeah, a play on words, both with the band name and with the album title, both related to the Rolling Stones in this case. And yeah, you gotta love it. It's very, not just Stones influenced, but all bands from the 60s. The Kinks, the Beatles, you feel that in Anton Newcombe and the band's just overall vibe from the opening track. You know, it really gets you immersed in it. Him even doing this like fake British accent on, you know, throughout the song. It's really hilarious, but it's also pretty endearing. And there's not really any weak music on here, but I would say the highlight, of course, is Anemone, which a few weeks back I had as my #1 song of that year. So had to have it on my list, and that's just my number 5. So now at number 4, Down on the Upside by Soundgarden. Have to have this on your top 5. I mean, Soundgarden, one of the greatest grunge rock bands to come out of the 90s, and some would say this is very underrated. Of course, I would put it just a little bit below Super Unknown. That's my favorite. But I mean, come on, you got Pretty Noose, you got Burden in My Hand, Blow Up the Outside World, gems like Tighter and Tighter, and Overfloater. I mean, Chris Cornell just at his best vocally, and some of the hardest rocking songs. I mean, you also had Ty Cobb on here. I mean, such a great rock record. I can't believe it's only at my number 4. But yeah, it was such a strong year in music. So now at number 3. I don't practice Santeria. I ain't got no crystal ball. Sublime, the self-titled album by this band that it's kind of an outlier because I don't really, I think they only had like 1 or 2 other albums technically at around this time, but it is just so good and like one of the best reggae albums in my opinion. One of the best bands since Bob Marley to kind of put their foot into that genre and do it so well with songs like Doing Time and What I Got, Santeria, you know, such great melodies by the band and so fun as well. Like some of these songs are really kind of insane, like some of the topics that they handle, like April 29th, 1992, but so catchy in the way that they do it. And yeah, from start to finish, it's just a fun record to listen to in the summer. You gotta have some Sublime on, and this is the album to do it. So that's my number 3. Now at number 2. Unplugged by Alice in Chains. I had to do it, you know. Hey, I put live albums on my top 5s all the time if they're good, and this is probably, I mean, in my opinion, it's the greatest of the Unplugged series, even better than Nirvana. And one of the best live albums of all time. I mean, just from the opening of Nutshell all the way to the close of Over Now, there's not a weak track in this bunch. It's just unreal how good these guys are in an acoustic setting to begin with, because you know, if you know their music, of course, their EPs were a little more on the acoustic side, but even songs like Wood from Dirt translate so well acoustically that you wouldn't imagine that they would, and songs like Rooster that are so heavy and so dynamic, they still just hold up. Some would say even better than the originals in some cases. I really love the version of Got Me Wrong much more here than on the SAP EP. Just everything on here is pure gold, and unfortunately this would be the last thing they would do together before Lane Staley passed away. But absolute classic, and that is my number 2. So now at number 1. Odelay by Beck. It had to be this. I mean, just an absolute classic that was ahead of its time. Beck Hansen throwing everything, every genre but the kitchen sink at this album, and it works so well. You know, from the opening rocker of Devil's Haircut to the absolute classic party song Where It's At, which has so many different genres just within that one song. But then he's even got songs that have some country in them, like Hot Wax, but they've got these, you know, of course, funk elements. The Chemical Brothers, you know, or I'm sorry, the Dust Brothers, I always get them confused, producing this album, really helping Beck make his thoughts into fruition. Just so many great songs throughout, and of course, the closing ballad, Ramshackle, so beautiful and gorgeous, the acoustic sound they get out of that, and would go on to, as a precursor to some of his other albums like Sea Change down the road, that would be purely acoustic folk. But man, oh man, this album is just so fun from start to finish. You know, you want to put your teeth out on certain songs like yeah, Dance Along, Sing Along. Jackass is another highlight, which is such a cool it almost sounds like a Lou Reed song, and you can just tell Beck had so many different influences from the 60s, 70s, and just everything in between, and it's, I think, his shining moment to this day. So yeah, that's my top 5, guys. Let me know in the comments below what you think. What would your top 5 be? And if you're so bold, leave me a top 10, because there were so many great albums in that year. The 90s, just such a great decade that we're going through here. So be sure to stay tuned, because we're going to be moving on to 97 next. And guys, we got top 5s every Friday, album reviews, so much more. Thank you for watching, and as always, Viva La Vinyl. So guys, thanks so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and be sure to ring the bell for notifications so you can always see great quality content like you're seeing on the screen right now. Thank you so much for supporting Johnny Radio, and I'll see you soon.